G'day guys, Enno here. Today we're doing the week 12 review and heading into week 13 preview. Now I did miss the week 11 review, so what I'll do is I'll just go down to history. I didn't even know it was here, but I found it before looking for it. So just the whole season, what I've done. There's only 1 week there where I didn't use trades other than week 1, but yeah, I think I've got 8 saved, which we'll look at in a bit, but basically, I've sat around, so got into about 200 or 300, and I've just sort of sat there for the last few weeks. And then it was week 11 that I did have a huge score, 644, and shot myself up quite a bit. Was 60th for the week, and sort of pushing towards the top 100, but sort of stagnated this week again, and still sit outside the top 100. So I'd just like to get probably inside the top 100 end of the year. Made a few bad calls along the way. But the NFL is as volatile as ever as a sport. Before I even get into the team, I do a lot of dynasty. Obviously, this is more like Supercoach format, of course, but I do a lot of dynasty, leagues and stuff where you carry your team year on year. And the guy I follow on Twitter was posting that for this year, that the top 24 running backs from ADP, which is average draft position, only 4 pretty much have lived up to the expectations or exceeded the expectations, and that's Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, obviously JT, and Joe Mixon. So obviously I've got 3 of those in my team now, but the rest, there's been issues with all the rest of them. Don't even need to get into it, but injuries has been absolutely insane this year. It always sort of is with the NFL, but it's the level of player that it's happened to this year. It started before the year even started, especially at Baltimore. Few of their running backs went down, their best corner. Like the injuries do always happen in the NFL, but it's been insane who they've happened to, and especially for fantasy, it's felt like everyone that's gone down is a top fantasy option at every position almost. So anyway, it's been one of those years, and had to burn a few trades. Even quarterbacks, a few quarterbacks have gone down. We haven't seen Kyler for a while. He should be back this week, but Lamar's missed games. Dak missed a couple. Um, even a few of the rookies. And anyway, there's been some just heaps of injuries that we've had to deal with. So, yeah, no more bigger than CMC, who again has gone down and is on IR for the rest of the season. His season is done, and same old as last year. He got back again this year, whereas last year he was sort of one and done. And he trapped us, well, me especially, but probably most of us, back into getting him, and down he goes again. So obviously he'll need to be traded. But we did kick off the week. It was a Thanksgiving week, so there was 3 games on that Thursday night or Friday for us. And I know it's like this now, but I did have the VC on Josh Allen, and I took it, which obviously turned out to be Smarters was the best scorer in the rest of my team. So yeah, happy with that. He sort of wasn't great to begin with, but sort of second half got going and boosted his score up nicely towards the end. Lamar wasn't too hot at all. In fact, he was pretty terrible, to say the least. I think he threw 4 picks, and it was like 3 in the first half. And look, they snuck out the win. Browns were worse than them somehow, so obviously doesn't matter for his sake, but for us, it wasn't great, or whoever owns him. So yeah, hopefully he bounces back at some stage. Looking through his stats, it's crazy. He has not run a touchdown himself since I think week 1 or 2. It's been obviously Mark Andrews, he's sort of go-to guy. Hollywood Brown, sort of to the start of the year, but then he's feeding them off to running backs this year, and it's just it's a bit annoying. But hopefully he gets in the end zone himself pretty soon. Tyrod on the bench again outscored Lamar. I mean, Tyrod came on last week for Lamar, who didn't play, who missed the game and scored 30 odd, and then he's done it again. And this time I don't get it, but yeah, not a massive loss, but yeah, crazy. Hopefully Lamar can turn around. JT just keeps chugging along. Obviously, maybe if he had any other opponent, I would have gone the VC on him. But Tampa, I didn't expect a huge game with their decent running defense or rush defense, but he still found the end zone towards the end of the game. and he's just been incredible. The clear number one running back on the season. He might, I mean, obviously Derek was until he went down, but I still think JT might have challenged for him. I haven't really done the maths and worked out the points per game, but it wouldn't have been far off. Wouldn't have been far off. Um, Eckler, great trade in a few weeks ago, been absolutely on fire, even though the Chargers have looked pretty dismal to say the least. So hopefully he keeps chugging along. He's got a decent schedule for the rest of the season. I thought the week just gone would be one of his down games against the Steelers, but was it Steelers? I can't remember. But anyway, from here he's got a pretty nice schedule. So he might find the captaincy at some stage against a weak opponent, but we'll see. CMC we've spoken about. Obviously he will have to be traded. And then Najee, just a pretty poor game. Pretty poor game. He's had a couple of down weeks now after pretty much being consistently solid the whole season. He was pretty much good for 30 every week. He did catch a lot of balls last week, so that was fine. But yeah, that Cincy game just gone. Not great. Not great at all. Hopefully he can bounce back. But the Steelers, they really do look pretty average. So anyway, hopefully Big Ben just keeps feeding him, and he's just got pretty much a solid. I mean, put it this way: there's no one else to trade him to. I'll be perfectly honest. Um, or no one that I would consider burning a trade to flip him for. So the workload there is there, the snap count is there. He's getting all the touches, so we just keep rolling with Najee, just one down game. And then the upsetting thing is Javonte was on the bench there, so he had a lot of work, caught a lot of balls, but I think I saw Melvin Gordon on the injury report. So look, if that job becomes his, I've said it before at any stage, which it will next year. But at any stage down the stretch, I'll be happy to field him in a really good matchup, depending, um, if there's a bye or if there's an injury to someone else, I would be totally okay fielding, but we'll see if that happens. And then Gamewell, obviously pretty useless, not much happening there. Cup, look, the Rams haven't looked too hot. He wasn't going too great for most of the game, and he almost had a he almost had a passing touchdown, which is quite funny. But he sort of just got there in the end with sheer volume and targets. So it's pretty much his baseline is a mid-20s, much like Diggs, I was saying, for most of the season. But yeah, Diggs sort of starting to find the end zone more, which is good to see. Devontae, he was fine, but again, I don't think he got in the end zone, and he's got a couple stolen from Randall Cobb and others. But again, he's fine. That's pretty much what you expect from him most weeks, as a minimum. And Cordell Patterson, glad I did hang on to him. I think I was sort of forced to with other trades in the running back area, but yeah, crazy, good, 2 touchdowns. Can't complain there. I think he was the top scoring wide receiver in the week, in this format anyway. So happy to have him. I fielded Elijah Moore again over Devonta Smith, which turned out to be the right move. Not that it was the best score ever, but we do take that, and I think I might trade him this week. We'll see. Because he's made a bit of cash now, almost up at 10 mil with a few booming scores the last few weeks. So yeah, might cash out on him. Terry, his snap count is huge. I think he's the highest wide receiver snap count of the season. He plays like 98% of snaps, something stupid. Him and Heineke just seem to have these boom or bust games where they're either on and he goes off, or they're just not clicking. And look, they did get the win, and it was a Gibson McKissick game, heavy run game. So the targets were still there. They just didn't connect on as many as we would have liked. Didn't get in the end zone, of course. And what can you do? There's not much else. I'd still prefer to hold him, obviously, over Elijah Moore and others. But he may get traded at one point down the stretch if we have a trade up our sleeve, to flip to someone else. Of course, Tyreek had the bye, and then Devonta Smith, yeah, probably just a good bench cover maybe for the rest of the season. Hopefully, if I ever need him, he scores well. Tight end position, man, just don't even bother. If you've got 2 playing tight ends, just leave them and let them do what they do, because Waller traded him in this week for Hawkinson. Hawkinson scores in that early game on Thanksgiving, gets a touchdown, scores 20 odd, and Waller gets hurt and scores 8. So not much else you can do. Obviously, this week I'll be fielding Kelsey and just have to field Pitts until maybe Waller recovers or what have you. But yeah, won't be trading there. Just it is what it is. Kickers, again, just is what it is. Boswell has actually been one of the great kickers the last 2 or 3 weeks since I traded him in. So get lucky with that. Not that I saw anything coming. He just was one that I could sort of afford at the time and went for. So that's a kicker. And I know I've got it like this. It is not how I had it for the week. I had the Rams on stupidly. They both, to me, didn't have great matchups. Rams against the Packers, I didn't expect much. Broncos against the Chargers, I thought the Chargers would do more than they did. It was the Chargers, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. And of course, they get the defensive touchdown and hold them to one touchdown or something. So, um, yeah, what can you do? Pretty much, you just like you want to try and predict the points of the opposition team, but really is the big scores like this, 30 odd from a defense is from a defensive touchdown, which to me you can't predict. I think Herbert threw a ball out to the flat to Eckler, and Eckler just went through his hands, bobbed up, and yeah, it was a rookie. Patrick Surtain just ran it in. So whatever, what can you do? Um, I just think I'll keep the Rams off the field for now because they just haven't looked great for a good month now. So that's the way we'll keep it. Looking at this week's games, Saints Dallas on the Friday. I think Taysom Hill will be starting. Not that that's relevant to us, but for loopholes as far as good matchups go, I think JT against Houston is just the biggest no-brainer you'll ever see. And then closely followed, if we need backup, maybe a cup against Jacksonville can sort of bounce back and get a couple of touchdowns maybe, but I don't envisage us needing to use it anyway with JT against Houston. That looks like another multi-touchdown game for JT. So trades, we'll obviously need to trade McCaffrey, and there's a lot of ways you can go. Actually, I'll put that back for now just so we can see the running backs. I have to put on running back. Now, Mixon is there. The thing is, he's 15 mil. I don't have enough to do it unless I downgraded someone else, which is not something I want to do. And then we start getting a little bit murky. Obviously, Lenny had a huge game for Tutty Lenny, or Leonard Fournette, as Gronk was calling him. But I just don't trust it. I mean, it has a bit of a feel of like the playoffs last year for the Bucks that Lenny started dominating, got the role himself, clear number one, and dominated the playoffs. It kind of feels like that could be this period now from here to the end of the season, and then plus whatever happens in the playoffs. So it is tempting. And they do have the Falcons this week, which just again seems like a juicy matchup. Zeke we could get back, but I just don't see the point in that, especially with a little bit of a tiny cloud he's under with his ankle. I know he did play, but Pollard did play quite a bit, and there was some inkling of maybe resting Zeke, so I just don't really want to go there. Swift has just gone down as well. Chubb has the bye. Jones has the bye. Henderson's injured as well. Still might play, but is under a cloud. Kamara, again, is a little bit too expensive at 14.5 mil. J-Rob's there, and then this is where it starts getting interesting. So Gibson is one I would consider at just under 9 mil. Looked really, really good on the weekend. McKissick did get carted off the field, so it looks like even though he got plenty of touches, looks like the backfield is completely his for the foreseeable future. Might only be a couple of weeks, but that's enticing. So he's an option. Delvin Cook maybe would have been an option, but again, he's gone down as well. It's crazy how many people are going down. And then there's a guy down here I'm very intrigued by, and that is Elijah Mitchell, who is clearly the guy in San Fran. You got Jeff Wilson there, who's not getting anything. He's the clear alpha. Sermon's not even getting a look. So it's his job to lose. And to be honest, I don't think it's to lose anymore. It's just his job, which he's shown whenever he's been available to start. Obviously, he has missed a couple games here and there. I think it was a hand injury and then something else. But back this week, got the full workload, scored 50. I think he had over 130 yards, a few catches. So very good game. And the run looks very, very reasonable. Seattle haven't been great. Cincinnati's defense is, I think, just bang average. Falcons are bad. Tennessee is pretty average. Houston's very bad. And then the Rams haven't looked great. So it does look very nice. And doing so, obviously, would give me quite a bit of cash. I did say I'd be happy to field Javonte if I need to, but doing so will give me quite a bit of cash to upgrade that Elijah Moore spot, and I could even do Devontae Smith. But getting in a man that I think I just would want from the run here, especially now that look, Cook is out for a bit, he's just going to get fed, and that's Justin Jefferson. I think he has been one of the most consistent across the year. Um, with Kirk, and he's one that again I think has quite an easy run home. Looking at it, it's obviously the Lions this week, as we saw just before, but after that, Steelers are okay, Chicago, they're okay. It's reasonable, but just the amount of targets he gets fed, and just the upside he has on a given week is crazy. I know Thielen had 2 touchdowns the week before, but obviously 20 is just sort of JJ's baseline. But yeah, he's just a guy I think I want for the rest of the season. And that would leave us with 6 trades left, with about, what is it, 5 rounds to go. So 5 rounds to go. So obviously that's about 1 trade a week. If we maybe cop no injuries, we could save one here or there. But um, that's how it would set up. Obviously we've got the Broncos this week. So I really like the look of it. Obviously CMC's got to go. It's just really, really weird to just determine who you would want to go to in that running back room. I've already got the 3 other main guys that you want, and sort of just got to play it by ear. And obviously the 2 next guys that you would probably want, Mixon and Kamara, they're just too expensive for me. I don't really want to be downgrading to get cash to get CMC up to one of those guys. So I think Elijah Mitchell can almost match him. I know it probably sounds crazy to say, but he's been really, really impressive. Um, the only other guy around that price, James Conner, I wouldn't look at. Just doesn't feel right to me. Gibson would be the other guy. Now that he seems to be over that shin injury. Not that I believe he is, but it seems to be the way he's moving on Monday. So he's definitely the other option. Him or Elijah Mitchell is probably what I like if you wanted to go down from CMC. But that's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be posting some other content soon, I would say, whether that's AFL, Super Coach, maybe a BBL video just with my team before round one. Not that I'll probably do videos each week for that, but just maybe my starting team. And then of course always just find me on Twitter. Always happy to have a DM, have a message about any fantasy. Funnily enough, I haven't posted any FPL videos, which I probably should have, because that's the one I'm doing. That's the one I'm doing well in, sitting inside the top 1,000 heading into this game week. So that's going well. I do tweet about that, but yeah, maybe I'll do a video on that at some point of my season so far. But yeah, busy December for a lot of sport. There's obviously plenty of NBA always going on, but NFL's heating up. A lot of December Premier League and soccer. And yeah, so good time to be a sports fan. All right, thanks guys. Catch ya.